Hey guys, I hope you're all well. I just wanted to do another video, as I promised in my first, just give you a bit of an indication of what we do and how we go about prepping the KWR 36 AUs. All tyres obviously share some common similarities, but what we want to do is run you through what we're doing, what we're finding here is working exceptionally well to preserve, to prep and to run these tyres. So here I've got two sets, as you can see. I've got a magic sponge, some blue shop towel, ATS, the 1 or 2 will work, some Dominate and a tyre sander. So I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what we do, how we go about doing it, just so you can apply it to your own tyres, get the most out of them, run after run. Our testing has been, here in Victoria, has been really good so far, on some really hard tracks, some challenging tracks, predominantly TFTR. If anyone's raced on it will understand that those high-speed sweepers tend to take their toll on tyres. Here I've got two sets. One's a brand new set, the other one is lightly scrubbed. When I mean lightly scrubbed, it's very minimal. So you'll see the two comparisons. So I'll get started. So essentially, the reason I've got two sets is what I recommend is always having two sets on the go. Reason being is you'll need to maintain the tyres in between runs and helps spread out the longevity. Essentially, and from a cost-effective perspective, once you've done your runs, and generally, as we all know, we get death rings on the front of our tyres from really trying to push them hard around corners. You ditch your two fronts and use your two rears. That way you can essentially have a third set at the end that you can use for practice or whatever you want. But I'll get stuck into the first one. So essentially, if you have a look, that's set number 2. So I've labelled it. It says set number 1. What I always do, so I'll just put it aside for the time being, take out my tyres. This is the set that's been lightly scrubbed. As you can see, the centre seam has been taken off, and they've just had a quick little burst, little run. These tyres are really good first run out, right? So don't expect that you start to get massive drop off. They don't run and wear that way. First run out's really good. Second run's awesome. When we test these with the durometer, your first application with the durometer will come up and show a rating of about 40 on the shore, 38 to 40. After that, after their first run, there'll be a 36 consistent all the way through. And we've done that specifically so we keep the tyre at that 36 degree level all the way. You can have some 36s that off the mark you measure when they're brand new, and they measure with the durometer at 36 and then drop down from there to 32s. And that's when you could experience, as you probably have, first run out, you're like, oh my God, these tyres are awesome. Second run out, you're like, well, hang on, I've got heaps of steering, but I'm starting to lose the rear because you're overheating the tyres, or you come back and you've got really bad graining. You generally won't get that with these. So I'll go into what we do. So essentially here you can see it, the tyres not so clean anymore because it's been lightly scuffed. Not really tacky because it's just been sitting in the bag. So first things first, I'll grab the tyre sander. Right, I always mark the tyres, and everyone does something different. You might have numbering system 1, 2, 3, 4. I always write right, rear, front, left, so on and so forth all the way through. Now, on the rear, you always put the tyres that spin up the best. On the front, you put the tyres that might have a little wobble or aren't as true. That helps with the stability of the car. So just remember that, it's an important tip. So yeah, we'll put it on. They've got a nice snug hex, so it's not a floppy hex at all. Alright, so that's on. I'll get the Dominate. This stuff's really good. I strongly recommend it. I only do 2 squirts. Alright, this was showed to me by Lou Solar, so thanks Lou. Essentially, sander on. Doesn't have to be at warp speed, just a decent thing. And you want this to go wide. And you've probably seen a few guys doing it. I think Steve Cornell has done it out there. That's where the magic sponge comes from. So thanks, Steve. All right. Best thing, this stuff's non-toxic. So I've done a little quick burst. Once the white's gone away, then I've gone and used the back just to scuzz it. Now, that is... let's see if I can show you. That's tacky, right? So it's just sticking to my finger. So that's that. As for gooping, gooping's something that's subjective. It's what you like, how the car feels, how you want the car to react. You don't need to over goop your tyres, right? after you use Dominate, I've actually gone out and had a run just on Dominate with warmers, and the tyres work great. Always good to have goop though, and it's always good to do the same thing all the way through. So I'll just grab, that's a brand new bottle, but I'll grab another bottle. As I said earlier, the ATS, blue or green, they both work the same. So, bit of ATS, right, you can spin this up and just coat it like that, get a nice even coat, or do it the other way, which we predominantly do on our cars, which is just giving it that basting. I generally don't like to overload the tyres with goop. I don't necessarily think it needs it. As for going out, I would cook these for about 10 minutes. Depending on your warmers, always good to check the temperature in your warmers, anywhere from 60 to 70 degrees, and obviously track conditions and outside weather. So it's all, again, subjective to the environment and to your own personal preference. But just to give you an indication, you can see this is starting to flash off a little bit now. So that shine's dying off, and you can see it drying on the tyre. These will become super sticky, and I find the ATS works really, really well for the whole run. Doesn't really drop off. It's very stable. Now, before I've gone out to run these tyres, as I've said earlier, because this is a soft rubber, right, and that's the way we generate grip. The better the rubber, obviously the better the grip. The trade-off is that we're finding that the sidewall is obviously, in most tyres nowadays, is giving way. So what I do and what I recommend is that we apply an extra bead of glue to the outside before you go out and run the tyre. That way you're just adding a bit more stability to the tyre. It will help preserve the life of it, and will help reduce the maintenance on the tyre. As I said, after you've done your run, I would take this set 1 aside. I would check all the gluing, maybe re-glue if need be, let them sit and dry, and run set 2. And when you're alternating like that, you'll get obviously good life out of the tyres, and in the end you'll have, as I said, if you grab the rears from both sets, you'll be able to make yourself another set. So essentially that's what I'll do, cook them for about 10 minutes. Depending on the weather outside and how hot it is, everywhere is a little bit different, and really find that we're having sensational results with the tyres out there that are proving to be super consistent all the way through the run, and producing really impressive lap times. We designed these tyres specifically for our conditions here in Australia. We wanted something that would perform all the way through, not just be good for the first couple of runs and then you bin them. We wanted something that we're going to get some longevity out of, which has always been a challenge because we push our tyres pretty hard, but also something that's going to give us long lap times all the way through, or consistent lap times, I should say, all the way through. So they've been great, performed really well, and keep performing really well. So I would ask you to obviously yell out if you've got any questions. We're here to help wherever we possibly can. As I've said, keep an eye on the maintenance of the tyre and enjoy them. Cheers.